Hi, it's Sylvester, and I will admit this is probably something I should talk to my therapist about, not the internet. I tend to do this, where I treat my YouTube channel like it's therapy. So if you don't want to hear me just talk about my problems, then this is not the video for you. I'm gonna try really hard not to sound whiny and complainy in this video, but essentially I am kind of just complaining. Well, I'm part of this support group, and they say that there's a difference between reporting and complaining. And I don't really know what that difference is because they don't really tell you what the difference is. But regardless, I'm gonna try to report the situation and my symptoms and not complain about it. Even though, again, I don't really know what the difference is. So, first of all, I have OCD, and not all OCD means that you're just like a clean freak, that you just need everything to be clean and orderly and tidy. But I have that kind of OCD where I need everything to be clean and orderly and tidy. Like, I cannot survive in a messy environment. I mean, like, I can for short periods of time. Like, if I'm visiting a friend and they happen to have a messy house, I can handle it. I can. It might give me an overwhelming compulsion to clean their house for them, but I will. I probably won't do that because I'm very fatigued and very lazy, and so I probably won't actually clean their house for them. Maybe they want me to, but just because I have OCD doesn't mean I'm your personal cleaner, okay? So don't invite me over if your house is messy just because you want me to clean it. But I will definitely have the compulsion to clean it because I just really like being in nice, tidy, clean environments. I like cleanliness, I like order. I am not a fan of chaos. When my surroundings are chaotic, my brain becomes chaotic, and it's hard for me to function like that. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it it's just that's just how it is. So I really want the space in which I live to be clean. And I live in an apartment building, so I can only control so much of the environment in which I live. Like, my apartment, I can make sure is clean, but the rest of the building, I can't always make sure that it's nice and clean. You know, sometimes people will spill things in the hallway, sometimes people will leave garbage in the stairwell, sometimes people will spill things, and I can't. I can't. Did I already say spill? Did I say spill things twice? I feel like I said spill things twice. I'm doing a bad job with this video, but I also should take a note of how long I've been recording for. 3 minutes. Okay. Let me look at what time it is. I have approximately 20 minutes to make this video before my camera stops recording. So I feel like that I might have to end up editing this video because I don't know if I can get everything out in 20 minutes. It's like what I'm talking about isn't that big of a deal, but I tend to ramble and go on tangents, and so even telling a small story that normally wouldn't take that long is going to take me a long time. And here I am wasting time explaining about how I'm probably going to waste time. So let's just get on with the story. I can't keep like I'm so OCD that when I see spills on the stairwell and if it looks sticky, I will go out with. I don't own paper towels. I don't buy paper towels because I'm poor and I don't find that I need them very often. But if somebody spills like a soda, why did I say soda? I say pop. Well, if somebody spills pop in the stairwell, I know that we have a cleaner who cleans this building and he does a good job, but he doesn't always clean every part of the building every day. It's a pretty big building, so he does like certain parts on certain days. And so, excuse me, I just burped. If somebody spills pop in the stairwell, I'm not certain that the cleaner is going to clean that stairwell the next day because that might not be part of his agenda for the day, and he might be cleaning another stairwell that day, and like he doesn't always mop all of the stairs. So I will go out with just like a bunch of wet toilet paper, and I will just painstakingly just like clean up this spilled pop so that there's nothing sticky, because this building also has an insect problem. It's a lot better now, knock on wood, because they sprayed every unit in the building, but we do tend to have a cockroach problem in this building. And so, especially if I see food in the hallway or in the stairwell, or if I see something that might be sticky, like pop spilled in the stairwell, I'm really scared that that's going to attract cockroaches or maybe other insects, ants or flies, or I don't know if flies like pop, but like, I don't know, why not? Like it might attract some kind of insect, and I really, really do not like insects. And so I'm very paranoid about the possibility of roaches. In fact, even just saying it out loud is making me nervous, because I'm kind of superstitious and I feel like saying my fears out loud will make them come true. So the fact that I'm saying that I'm scared that I might get cockroaches out loud is going to like make it happen. So I'm going to knock on wood, and I'm just going to pray to God, even though I don't know if I believe in a Christian God. I'm going to pray to whatever God there is, like, please keep my apartment insect free. I'm like having like heart palpitations just thinking about it. Like I'm genuinely so scared of insects. Like I'm not scared of insects, but I'm scared of having an infestation. I'm scared of having roaches, and I need to stop talking about it because I feel like I'm gonna make it happen by talking about it. So anyway, I just get really, really freaked out and in my head and like very, very scared when I see food or beverages spilled in the hallway or the stairwell, because I really think it's going to attract bugs. And so if I see like somebody has spilled food in the hallway, I will do my best to clean it up with the materials that I have, with the tools that I have, and just cross my fingers and hope that the cleaner cleans whatever I'm not able to clean. Like one time there was a bunch of trail mix spilled in the stairwell, and I could have gone down with my broom and swept it up, but I didn't want to do that because I was scared that little particles of food were going to get stuck in my broom, the little bristles of my broom, or maybe like whole chunks of food would get stuck in the bristles of my broom, and then I'd take it back to my apartment, and then it would attract bugs because there's like now food in my broom, Like that's how paranoid I am. Like I'm really paranoid about this. So like I left it, and I like just hoped that the cleaner would clean it the next day, and he did, thank God, because otherwise it would have absolutely drove me crazy. I like avoided that stairwell for the rest of the day because I just didn't want to see the food on the ground, because it just bothered me so much and made me so paranoid. So that's where I'm at. I get really freaked out when this building is dirty, especially mostly when it's food. Like if there's just like a bunch of dirt, or like a bunch of like, somebody's thrown a Kleenex on the ground, or like some like bits of paper or something, sometimes I'll pick it up just because I want to be a good Samaritan, and the cleaner shouldn't have to do everything. I'll chip in where I can, but like for the most part, if it's not food, I will probably just leave it. But if it's food, it will absolutely drive me nuts if I don't at least try to clean it if I'm able to, So that being said, I live next to, maybe I shouldn't say where I live in this building in case, because I'm paranoid that somebody in this building might hate me, and I don't want him to watch this video and know where I live, but it's probably not that hard for him to figure out where I live anyways, because like I'll get to that part of the story, but like part of the story is that I'm kind of paranoid that I made somebody in this building hate me, or not somebody who lives in the building, but somebody who is often in the building, somebody who's friends with somebody who lives in this building, so he's here a lot of the time and I see him all the time, and like I feel like I've made enemies with him now. And so anyways, maybe I shouldn't say specifically where I live in this building, but screw it. I'm just gonna cross my fingers and hope that he doesn't watch my videos. So my apartment, I have another apartment on one side, like on the other side of one of my walls, there's another apartment. But then on the other side of my apartment, on the other side of that wall, is the stairwell. And I live on the top floor of this building, and so there's a part of the stairwell that goes up to the roof, and there are cameras in the hallway, in like in all the hallways of this building, but there are no cameras in the stairwells, and so homeless people will often sleep in the stairwell, specifically in that little part of the stairwell that goes up to the roof, because they figure nobody's going to be going up there, right? And again, it's on the other side of my wall. So like this is something that I've been dealing with for years is I'll hear noises on the other side of my wall and I'll just know that there's a homeless person sleeping in the stairwell. And for a long time, I would let the homeless people be because, like, they're homeless. They're less fortunate than I am. Is saying homeless not politically correct anymore? I feel like people say unhoused now, not homeless. They say unhoused. So these are people who are unhoused, and they like there was this like one unhoused guy who would basically lived in that part of the stairwell for like a couple years, it feels like. And I would just let him be because, again, he's less fortunate than me. I would just and he was clean. He would clean up after himself. He wasn't super loud. He wasn't causing any problems. So I just kind of let him be. But then he started leaving food around. And so at first I would, he'd leave food in the stairwell. And I just clean up after him. And then the one day he left food in the stairwell, and so I was going to clean it up, and there was a box or a tube of Pringles, and I grabbed the tube and I put my hand in a wet substance, and I looked at it, and it was a white viscous substance, and I'm pretty sure I put my hand in that guy's cum. So after that, next time I saw him, I was like, I'm sorry dude, you can't sleep here anymore. And maybe I'm the asshole. Am I the asshole for telling an unhoused person that they can't sleep in the stairwell anymore? Maybe I'm the asshole. I feel like I am an asshole, but at the same time I want the building in which I live to be clean and safe, and a lot of times unhoused people will be doing drugs in the stairwell, and I don't want to breathe in secondhand meth or fentanyl or crack or whatever it is they're smoking. And I just I get really paranoid about that as well, because I really don't want to breathe in secondhand hard drugs. It just makes me really freaked out to think about the fact that I'm doing that. If you know what I mean, it really freaks me out. It's another thing that just really bothers me is the idea that I'm breathing in somebody else's secondhand hard drugs. So yeah, there's a problem with unhoused people sleeping in that stairwell. And so oftentimes I will hear noises coming from the stairwell, and I'll just go and I'll just tell the unhoused person, I'm sorry, you can't stay here. And there have been a couple times in the past where I've asked unhoused people to not be here. There was this one guy who just kept coming back, and I kept asking him to leave, and then things got a little bit, he started calling me names, I started calling him names, and then finally the one day I called the police on him, and him and a couple of his friends were in the stairwell making all sorts of noise, making a mess, doing drugs, and I was like, I can't handle this, it's upsetting me. I want to live in a building where I feel safe, where it's clean, where I don't feel like I'm breathing in secondhand meth. So I called the police on this guy, and I never saw him again. And so after that, I started calling the police. I called the police a couple more times on unhoused people who would refuse to leave. And it's always really scary when I ask these people to leave because I know that, tempt not a desperate man. When you're in a desperate situation like being unhoused, there's no guessing what these people are going to resort to. They're probably like, some of them are angry when I ask them to leave, and like, for all I know, one of these days, one of them is going to pull out a gun and shoot me, right? Like, I don't know what these people are capable of. I don't know. So, and some of them are genuinely kind of scary. And I don't want to be prejudiced and say that, like, unhoused people are inherently scary, because they're not. They're just people. But, like, you do hear stories, right? And, like, it can be scary to confront people like that. And, like, so. Again, maybe I'm the asshole for telling unhoused people to leave, for telling unhoused people that they can't stay in the stairwell. But again, they always make a mess. They're always really noisy, which keeps me awake at night while I'm trying to sleep. They're on the other side of my wall and they're making a lot of noise a lot of times. And so I've gotten into this habit where every night before I go to bed, I will go up and check the stairwell leading up to the roof to make sure there's no unhoused people there, and that allows me to sleep better at night, because when I'm lying in bed, my anxiety nags me, and it's like, I bet there's somebody out there in the hallway right now, or in the stairwell right now, and I bet they're making a big mess. And the thing is, the cleaner doesn't clean that part of the stairwell. I don't know why. He'll clean the rest of the stairwell, but the little part of the stairwell that goes up to the roof, he just doesn't clean up there. So if there is ever a mess, if an unhoused person was up there and they did leave a mess, first of all, if there's food, I'll clean it up right away, because again, I don't trust that the cleaner's actually going to clean it. So I'm just going to take care of the food so that so that my anxiety doesn't eat me alive, thinking that insects are going to come. And then I'll like take a picture and I'll email the landlord and say, can you ask the cleaner to clean this part of the stairwell? And then the cleaner will go and clean it. And so, yeah, it just really bothers me that there are people who sleep there and make a mess there and do drugs there. And it just really, really bothers me. And again, I know drug addiction is a disease and they can't help it, and it's not their fault, and they're not bad people for having a drug addiction. Like, I am a recovering marijuana addict, so like, I to some degree understand what addiction is like, and so like, I'm not trying to be prejudiced. But again, I really don't like the idea of breathing in secondhand meth or whatever, and so, or heroin, or like, who knows what these people are on, like, I don't know. And that's what freaks me out, is that I don't know what they're smoking. I don't know what I'm inhaling when I go down, when I'm walking through the stairwell. And like, yeah, like, it's airborne. So if they're in that stairwell smoking meth, it's not just going to stay in one spot. It's going to disperse, and it's going to go into the hallway, and it might go underneath my door into my apartment. And like, maybe I'm too paranoid about this, but like, I've talked to other people about this, and they're like, yeah, we don't worry about that at all. So like, apparently I'm the only one who worries about this kind of thing, but like, it really does bother me and concern me. And so, yeah, long story short, yesterday I I went and because sometimes I'll check the stairwell in the morning as well, just because I'm super paranoid and I just really want the place in which I live to be clean and bug free. So I went and checked the stairwell in the morning, and there was food and there was garbage, and so I cleaned up the food. And I also cleaned up the garbage because I didn't want to have to go through the hassle of taking a picture of it and sending it to the landlord and having the landlord ask the cleaner to clean it. And also, I don't feel like bothering the cleaner all the time because it's like, that guy has a hard enough job as it is, and I feel bad telling him how to do his job or what to do. And so I just cleaned it up myself. It wasn't a huge mess, so I just cleaned it up myself. And then this morning, I wake up at like 8:30 a.m. Or it was earlier than... No, actually, yeah, it was about 8:30 a.m. I wake up because I had my alarm set for 9. And so I wake up before my alarm, and I can hear noises coming from the other side of the wall. And immediately I'm just like, ugh, off to a bad start to the day because like I'm gonna have to go and confront somebody and tell them to leave. And like I guess I didn't have to. Again, maybe I'm the asshole here for telling unhoused people that they can't sleep in the stairwell, but like I felt like I had to in order to protect my living space. I have to ask this person to leave, and they're probably going to leave a mess that I'm probably going to have to clean up. So I go into the stairwell and I go up to the roof, or I go up the stairs leading up to the roof, and there's a guy there, of course, and he has his back turned to me, and he's clearly smoking some kind of drug. Like I could, I didn't see it, but like I assumed that's what he was doing because he was all like huddled over doing something. And so I said to him, "I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to ask you to leave." And he turns to look at me, and I see this guy's face, and I realize that he's a guy that I see around this building all the time. He's friends with people who live on the second floor. These people are kind of known to be like drug dealers, and they're known to be like sketchy, and these people like have, let's say, they're not the most beloved people who live in this building. Like a lot of people are kind of annoyed because there's always people like coming in and out all hours of the day, and there's clearly some sketchy activity going on in this apartment. And so this guy is clearly friends with the person who lives in that apartment because I see him here all the time. But I guess he doesn't live in that apartment because otherwise I don't know why he would be doing his thing in the stairwell instead of in the apartment. So he must just be a friend who's here a lot. And so, I asked him to leave. He wasn't mad. He didn't say anything. I think he just kind of groaned. And then that was it. That was the end of the interaction. And he did leave food behind. He did leave a mess, and of course I cleaned up the food. But the rest of the mess, I took a picture of it, sent it to the landlord. The landlord asked the cleaner to clean it, and the cleaner went and cleaned it. And so it's nice and clean in the stairwell now. And I'm scared this guy's going to come back again tonight and make a mess again, and it's going to cause me so much anxiety because I can't live in mess. I just can't handle mess, especially food everywhere. Like, I don't understand how people can just live like that with just food all over the floor and stuff. And like, if that's how he leaves the stairwell, I can't even imagine what the apartment looks like. There's probably food all over the ground, you know what I mean? And like, they're gonna get cockroaches, and then those cockroaches are gonna spread. And like, now I'm really paranoid about this, but I'm always really paranoid about this. And so anyways, but like, I'd still rather him make the mess in his apartment than in the stairwell, where it's kind of my problem because, at least they're on the second floor, sort of far away from my apartment. Whereas when he's making a mess in the stairwell, if that attracts cockroaches, then they're like right next to my apartment, and they can very easily get into my apartment. And so like, I just really don't want this guy in the stairwell making a mess, leaving food everywhere, attracting cockroaches. Like, I really don't want that. But like, I can't now, like, I don't know what to do if he does return, because he's already seen my face. He already recognizes me because we see each other all the time around the building. Like, he knows what I look like. He knows who I am. And like, I ran into him later today, and like, I feel like he glared at me. I feel like he gave me a dirty look. I mean, maybe I was interpreting insecurely. Maybe he just looked at me and it wasn't a dirty look. But like, I felt like he was kind of giving me a dirty look. And so it's like, great. Now I've made enemies with some guy who's always in the building, who's always around. And so like, that's not good. What if he and the people who live in that apartment all like gang up on me and decide that they want to like take revenge on me for like kicking this guy out of the stairwell. So like, now I'm a little bit paranoid because it's like, now I'm the bad guy and now people don't like me, and like, I hate that. I really hate that. And again, I'm scared he's gonna do it again. And like, what do I do then? Because if I hear noises coming from the stairwell, my anxiety is not gonna let me let it go. I'm gonna have to go and check the stairwell, and like, but I can't do that because like, I can't ask him to leave again. That's gonna make him hate me even more. So like, if he goes back there again tonight and like makes a mess, I'm just gonna have to wait for him to leave and then ask the landlord to ask the cleaner to clean up there again. And like, I'm gonna have to do that like every day because he's gonna be here like every day. So like, old me would have just called the police on him, but I don't want to have a feud with another unhoused person. Sorry, my camera died. So, anyways, I would usually, like the old me, if he were to come again tonight and sleep in the stairwell, I would call the police on him. But I know that it makes me look like such an asshole to call the police on an unhoused person who suffers with addiction. Like, it feels like I'm punching down. It feels like I'm hurting an oppressed person, which, like, yeah, I guess I'm calling the police on an oppressed person if I do that, because unhoused people are oppressed, and people who suffer with substance use disorder are maybe not oppressed. Maybe oppressed is the wrong word, but like, they're definitely unfortunate. They're definitely, like, it definitely makes me feel like a massive asshole to call the police on a person who is unhoused and suffering with addiction, But I also want to feel like I live somewhere safe and clean, and I want to feel protected, and so calling the police would make me feel protected. It would make me feel good, and like, this guy would probably not sleep there ever again because he knows that the police are going to come for him if he ever does it again. And so then I won't have to worry about it, and then maybe no one will ever sleep in that stairwell ever again, and no one will ever make a mess in the stairwell ever again, and then I can live happily and anxiety free. I know that that's probably not going to happen, or that's probably not what would, like, even if he were to never come back again, some other unhoused person is probably going to come and start sleeping in that stairwell because that's just what they do. But, like, that would be, anyways, so, God, I'm all flustered. Like, can you see how much anxiety this gives me? Can you see how much freaking anxiety this situation gives me? So, like, I don't know what to do, because especially, like, I can't call the police on this guy because he's going to know it was me, because I'm the one who asked him to leave. I'm the only one who seems bothered by the fact that he's there. He's seen my face. He knows me. He sees me around the building all the time, so he knows I live here. So he knows where I live. And so, like, I don't want to make enemies with somebody who is always in the building in which I live. I don't want to make enemies with somebody who's always around. And so if I call the police on him, he's definitely going to hate me. And again, he's definitely going to know that it was me. And like, I have to go see if there's somebody actually in the stairwell before I call the police, because even if I hear noises through the wall, I might just be hearing noises, or like, maybe I'm mistaken. Maybe those noises are coming from somewhere else in the stairwell, and it just sounds like they're coming from the part that leads up to the roof. And so if I hear noises, what I would usually do is I would go and check to see if somebody was there, and if it was the same guy who was there the day before, I'd call the police on him if he refused to leave, and if I thought he was going to keep coming back, I would call the police on him. But again, I can't do that, because if I go out, because I can't just call the police because I hear a noise on the other side of my wall. Like, I have to make sure there's actually someone there. I can't call the police and be like, I think there's a homeless person, or sorry, an unhoused person on the other side of my wall because I heard a noise. I have to actually go and check and make sure there's actually an unhoused person there before I call the police. And so, like, if I go and check to see if someone's there and it's him and he sees me, and then the police get called, he's definitely going to know it was me. You know what I mean? So, like, I can't call the police on him. So, like, what do? I just have to kind of let it happen. I just have to let him do it, and then clean up after him every day, or call, get my landlord to get the cleaner to clean up after him every day. And, like, it's just... It stresses me out. This is stressing me out so much. And again, I don't know if this guy hates me now, and I see him all the time, and maybe him and all the people who live in that sketchy apartment are all, like, working together against me now because they all hate me now. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't like having enemies. It stresses me out. And, like, again, maybe I'm the asshole for not allowing an unhoused person to just sleep in the stairwell. Maybe that's my fault. But you know what? I wouldn't really care if they weren't like making a bunch of noise and leaving a mess and potentially attracting cockroaches and like doing drugs next to my apartment. Like, I wouldn't care that much if they were just like, if they were just sleeping, you know, if that's all they were doing is they just needed a place outside that wasn't outside, just come in and be warm for a while. And like, you know, some unhoused people have pooped in the building because they're unhoused. They don't have access to toilets. So if they're sleeping here, like, they're like, I might as well just take a leak here or take a dump here. And like, that has happened. You know, like, people have peed in the stairwell. I've seen it. I've seen the pee. I've seen it. Like, I know what happens. And like, people have pooped in, like, not specifically. I've never seen it actually happen in that stairwell. Actually, one time it did happen. Somebody left a winter coat and my neighbor went to pick it up so that he could throw it in the garbage, and he picked up this coat and like a massive shit just fell out of it. And like, the cleaner cleaned it up, but the cleaner didn't do a good job of cleaning up. This was before we had the new cleaner. This was an old cleaner who did a worse job than the one we have currently. And that cleaner did not do a good job of cleaning the poop up. And so I went out there with gloves on and like some cleaning product, and I just like, I cleaned the poop up. I cleaned what was left of the poop up. And like, I don't want to have to clean anyone's poop ever again. You know what I mean? Like, that is not my job description. That is not what I'm here to do. I don't want people pooping in my building. And again, maybe I'm being mean. Maybe I'm being the asshole because like, unhoused people need a place to poop. I get it. But like, in the stairwell of my building, of the building in which I live, is not the appropriate place to do that. You know what I mean? Like, it's not my fault that people are unhoused. It's not my fault that there's a homelessness epidemic. It's not my fault. So like, why am I being punished for the fact that these people are unhoused? You know, like, it's just like, I shouldn't have to suffer just because they're suffering. Man, I sound so entitled. I sound so privileged. I sound so freaking privileged. And I get that. I get how I sound. I understand that. But just like, I shouldn't have to suffer just because they're suffering. You know, I stand by that. Oh, it stresses me out so freaking much. Anyways, that's all. Whew, it feels good to get that out. Thanks for being my online therapist. God. I mean, if you were a real therapist, you'd have probably some advice for me or something. And like, I don't know. My real therapist doesn't really ever have anything useful to say. No offense to my therapist, but like, she's kind of not the best therapist. So, so I probably am getting about as much out of this as I would if I told this to my therapist, but I don't know. Anyways, that's all. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. Stay frosty. Bye.